on leaving school, to be honest, anyway, and probably not even in the music business. Probably after I left the music business. But yeah, I don't know really. Music. I was lucky that I came through in a period that people bought CDs or they bought music anyway at that time, and that was the 80s and the 90s, and people bought records. Maybe if I'd come through in the 60s or 70s, I wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't have done as well at that time. But in the 80s and the 90s, people used to buy CDs, especially the late 80s when CDs came in, and then we were just becoming a big label at that point, and we had a back catalogue, and then we had a run of successful records, and people, instead of downloading them for nothing or buying them for pennies like they do now, they were buying CDs, and so it's a great time to, I suppose, to be in the music business,
What was the favourite band you signed to Creation?
Probably Primal Scream, to be honest.
Why?
Well, I think they defined the record label, and I'm still friends with them. Really, they're the people that I'm closest to. Pretty daily contacts with texts with Gillespie. But I saw them a couple of times this Screamadelica last year, and they were great, man. I saw them in Cardiff, and that was small. That was about 1,500 people.
Yeah.
And it was just a little gig before Glastonbury, and then I saw them in Japan, and it was to 17,000 people, and that was a kind of shock.
What was the better gig, the one with 1,500 or 17,000?
I think the 1,500 one was actually a better for me musically in a way, because it was like I was with all my pals from down that part of the world where I live, or the Welsh mob, yeah. I mean, when I was in Japan, it was kind of weird seeing one of your best mates play to 17,000 people, and they're superstars in Japan. They're superstars in a lot of places these days, but they're complete superstars in Japan. But the Primals, you've got to understand, Gia, they defined the record label. I mean, people probably go, and quite rightly so, because Oasis sold the most records, Creation Oasis, but really, without the Primals, Oasis probably wouldn't even assign to me anyway, so they sort of defined the record company, and Bobby brought me the Scream, the Mary Chain, the Fan Club, so, they're intrinsic really to the success of the record label, I probably should have got out of the music business probably around after Nebworth, really. I mean, for me personally, I think the music business is a very young thing, and everybody's in denial of that because they're all making their living out of it, but do you know what I mean? It was, you and me were speaking earlier on about these, like, people that work at major record companies that are 45 and know what 12-year-old kids supposedly want to buy, and it's a load of rubbish.
Do you feel that you've lost kind of touch with what they want now? Is that why you retired? Thank
God I have. I mean, it would be pretty strange to know what 12-year-olds want to buy at 51, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think it's really weird, people being 45 and still in the music business, do you know what I mean? I find that pretty strange.
Last time I saw you, you used to wear like a black hat, black-tailed coat.
Yeah.
And now you kind of look like you just stepped out of Horse and Hound magazine.
Yeah, I know. It's great. I love it. Yeah, well, well, it's deliberate, if we're being honest with each other. And I think, one of the reasons I moved to Wales, well, not moved, one of the reasons I bought the house at the height of Britpop in 95, 96. And the reason I bought it was that, I was going past this estate agent McCartney's, and I was up having a kind of day out kind of thing with my missus in Hay and Wye, and I looked and I saw this mad mansion with grounds and all this sort of shit.
I just went and randomly put a mansion.
Well, I did. I saw it by default for it. I went up to have a look, and this posh guy told me that he'd bought it, and then had a laugh at me. He said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I went, "I'm in the music business." I was like, I was just a young guy really. I was like 35, 36-year-old, and he laughed at me. So then I went away and, of course, gazumped him and bought the house just because I could.
That's typical.
And but I never actually realised that I would probably move into it. So we used to use it at weekends, and then probably about 2008, 2009, because I'd get really fed up with the music business, and then I just got fed up, not with music ultimately, really, if I was being honest, just the music business. I actually DJ sometimes, still abroad. I don't do anything in England. I try not to do anything in England if I can possibly help it. But I was in Italy this weekend, and there was some band booking in, and it's kind of my worst nightmare. Just to have to make small talk with people in bands.
Do people still ask you to sign them, and it's like you haven't got a record label now, but they still think you can sign them?
Every day on Facebook. I just stopped letting people send me messages because 2 or 3 people kept, and they still somehow get through the loop somehow of getting somebody else to send me their music, and it's like, dude, I was like, why does it matter anyway what I think? So
There's also a book in the pipeline. That you're going to be talking about. Is it your life story?
Well, yeah, it's my friend Harry Mulligan's been at me for years, well, not years, but a long time, to do the book, and it probably just, I don't know, I've been hibernating in Wales.
What do you hope to achieve from telling your life story?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, no idea whatsoever. What I hope to achieve, I don't really think in life what I hope to achieve from anything really. I just kind of do it and see what happens. Really. You
once said that at the age of 60 you'd be quite happy to check out, and you thought that death would be like hopping off one bus and onto another. At the age of 50, what's your opinion on death now?
Well, I'm 51, but I know what you mean.
Okay.
I'd probably like to trot on a little bit till I'm about 65, but I don't want to go past that. But it was like, because unfortunately, there's too many sad stories that I know now about, people. My family will die young anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So it's like, I'll definitely check out before I'm 65. But yeah, it's like my mum passed away at 54, so it's like it's not actually in the genetic makeup of my family to carry on very long anyway. You know what I mean? That my attitude is, I've done what I've done. I'll continue doing the odd bits and pieces, but whatever. It's like I'm not trying to impress anybody, basically. I'm just doing it, and no doubt, in England they don't get me anyway. In England they get us everywhere else kind of gets me a little bit. Even in Wales and Scotland they kind of get me.
That's because it's a Celt thing, isn't it? The Celts and the Irish and the Welsh are all kind of like a bit wild.
Well, no, I was explaining to somebody yesterday or the other day, maybe it was Italy, and they came up with a brilliant expression with English, and I said, "Oh, the English don't get me." And they said, the English don't get themselves. So it's like, and I thought, it's actually probably quite a good description of my relationship with England. But having said that, I love London, funnily enough, on one level, because I came down from Scotland, getting back to your original comment about making good in London, and I somehow made it in London and done pretty good and got out. So, but I don't think London's a place for 51-year-old, dad. Do you know what I mean? Let young people come, let Nigel and people like that come through, and you, and do you know what I mean? Let kids come through and do their thing. You know what I mean?
Simon Cowell's not dead, but when he dies, I think his legacy will be that he's just died a very rich man. What do you think your legacy is going to be?
I don't know if I want one.
Right?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, it's whatever it is. I mean, people can. Well, it depends what country you're talking about. In England, it'll probably be. They always love you when you die, don't they? Do you know what I mean? They never liked Tony Wilson until he died, and then now suddenly he's like, they all love him. They probably start liking me when I'm dead. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think you've made a lot of enemies in the music industry, or?
I don't think enemies. I don't really like them. So it's like it's not really a case of what they think of me. I don't really like people in the music industry, to be honest. I like you, so don't worry about it.
Noel's got his new band out and Liam's got his new band out. Which do you prefer and why?
Well, it's a loaded question, Gio, that you've just asked me, that everybody asks me. So I'm going to have to be completely political.
Okay.
You're right. It's like, Now, I love the Noel record. Come on, I mean, it's like
It sounds
it's
very
it's,
Oasis.
it's a well, it's got a couple of big Oasis type songs on it. I agree with that, but it's amazing. The Liam record, I like it. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I think they'll get it right, bang on the second one. Do you know what I mean? You know, funnily enough, because I think Andy Bell's super talented and
Right.
Liam's super talented, and I think Gem's got it going on. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think and Sharrock's what an amazing drummer he is. So I think they'll get it together. But yeah, I mean the Noel record. Yeah, I mean he was. I think you know, you can't deny If I Had a Gun or Everybody's on the Run. I don't think you can deny somebody that can write songs like that. Do you know what I mean? You know, so it's just like. Funnily enough, I haven't seen either one of them though. I was sitting in Perugia on Friday night, and you know, some Liam lookalike was Alan. What do you think of Liam and Noel? And you're like, oh, here we go again, right? But the bottom line is, it was like, I don't pick sides really. I mean, I like them both. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of where they are, you know, and you know, okay, Noel's maybe done a bit better initially, but you know, who's to say? You know, I mean, Liam's. I don't think you could underestimate, you know, somebody that works that hard. Do you know what I mean? I think he may well yet shock the masses. You know.
When you discovered Oasis, loads of people have since claimed to be in the same room at the gig. How many people were actually at the gig?
Only about 12, and I was related to about 2 of them. So it's like, no, it's better than that, Gia. To be honest, most people, there's about 30 people that found them really,
Right.
and it's actually got to a point, you know, that people tell me that Sony gave me the group,
Right.
and then gave me millions of pounds, you know, just I mean, and you're like, the enemy actually asked me that question. Like, you didn't, that Sony gave you the group, and you're a bit like, what? And they gave me like 20 million quid after that. I mean, it doesn't actually add up. You know what I mean? Nobody's that nice in life. So, but, I mean, you just got to go with it and just go, yeah, whatever, dude. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's just like, but I suppose I look on, you know, rock and roll in the music business is a little bit like it's all kind of like, it's a little bit like going to the zoo. Do you know what I mean? And you meet a few people on your travels, and they're caught up in their little thing, and you're caught up in your little thing, which is completely different now.
Yeah.
But and you've sort of kind of got to go on, but you kind of got to laugh a little bit when you're, you know, you've got like a Liam lookalike in Perugia going, you know, like,
Oh,
you know,
kid.
what do you think of Liam Gallagher? What do you think of Noel Gallagher? You know, like, you know, they're nice people. What do you want me to tell you? Do you know what I mean? You know.
You've retired from the music industry
Yeah, man.
and you don't DJ in this country, but you
But-
DJ abroad.
But
So you haven't technically retired fully from the music industry.
Well, I think DJing isn't really the music business.
No.
Not really. Come on. I mean, I'm not Paul Oakenfold. I'm like going to Perugia to DJ for my pal. I'm playing an unemployed disco next Monday night in Cardiff,
Right.
you know, for a friend, and then I'm playing my pal's pub in the Valleys, and then
Are you trying to make like Wales really rock and roll? Take it all down there.
No, I just like them. I just like the Welsh actually. And then I'm playing for my pal in Scotland, and you know, because he's one of my old pals. But you know, that's a really unusual. Like 4 gigs in Britain. You know, like I don't usually do that in 1 year anymore. Do you know what I mean? You know, never mind like in a month.
Talking of the Welsh, have you
Well, you're from
Lynn,
Hereford, aren't you?
I am, but have you learnt
You're
any of the
technically
lingo?
Welsh. You're technically Welsh.
Have you learnt any of the lingo? Can you speak any of the language?
My daughter tells me it, and I think she struggles with it as well. Do you know what I mean? You know, but yeah, it's kind of weird. She's really just discovered music in a really big way. But
Doesn't
she's
she want to be a
11.
drummer or?
Well, no. Well, it's kind of been on from that. You know, she was like, I got an iPod Touch, and I walked in about a month ago, and I walked on in, and I went, "What are you doing?" You know, she was sitting in a beanbag, her school uniform on, you know, little red jumper and all that sort of stuff. Listen to music, Dad. And like, as if we've never listened to music, you know, like, listen to music. And I'm like, okay. So then I went away, and then our mum had banned her from watching X Factor, which I kind of overthrew the ban and said to my wife, you know, like, we can't. My wife's like, it's crimes against music, and I'm like, you can't ban an 11-year-old from watching X Factor. You have to let her watch it, 'cause, like, you know, and She'd go to her mum, like, am I allowed to watch X Factor? And her mum went, yeah, you are. So she's now watching X Factor. And then I went in, I got up when I was in Italy at the weekend. She's moved the little CD player up to her room, and she's banging in One Direction at the moment, and Adele. So suddenly I think music's on the agenda. Do you know what I mean? From all horses and music.
What's your opinion on the X Factor and talent shows?
Well, people always ask me that question as well, but you know, it's usually friends like yourself that ask me that. I actually have no opinion about it. Like, a lot of people hate it. I sometimes say I hate it because I'm supposed to say I hate it.
Yeah.
The truth is, I don't care because I never watch it. You know what I mean? I saw a shocking version of While My Guitar Gently Sleeps last night on some foreign X Factor. And I think it was the Irish X Factor. And some guy was doing While My Guitar Gently Sleeps. And it was so bad. Do you know what I mean? It made Wet, Wet, Wet look tasteful. Do you know what I mean? You know? So, but these are the times that we're living in. Do you know what I mean? We're living in, like, this programme's probably, you know, like almost like psychedelic to the kids now. Do you know what I mean? What, some guy talking about bands that play live. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. Do you ever go to any gigs, like, other than Primal Scream? Have you been to see
Not
any
really,
other bands?
no. I mean, I don't. I mean, I just don't really care, really, to be honest.
So what do you do with your spare time?
I just read books, really, and watch films, and, you know, go for a walk.
Horse riding?
I don't horse ride, actually. I mean, I'm scared of horses. They freak me out. You ride horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did, right? Hereford. But yeah, no. I come from Glasgow. Like, a big horse is too daunting. You know, like, they keep trying to get me up on the horse, like my kid and my missus, and that's a bit like, you know what? It's too unpredictable. You could kick me in the head, like Alan Mcgee killed by a horse. It's not cool. You know what I mean? You know.
Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here today.
Can I come back next week?
Yeah, of course you can. Can I DJ with you? No!
We're an unemployed disco in Cardiff. Yeah, if you want. I'm sure they'd love it.